I'm going to move on over to Gosia next, Gosia Polanska, who is representing from Cycling UK on her stall, as I said, but today she is going to be talking about the amazing work she did with the Manley Park bike bus. I'm just going to bring up the presentation.
Thank you for having me. As Kaz just rightly mentioned, I'm here in two hats. I had started with Cycling UK just a month ago, and this is my stall. And if you have any questions about how to support adults in cycling more, I hope we can help in the whole of Greater Manchester. But I'm here, and thank you for having me. I'm here to talk to you as a volunteer and a mum. About a story, really, of how to ride, how to go to school in a very joyful way, and how that makes a huge difference to our children's lives. I'm not going to be talking about the school street at all, because I think your introduction, Hannah, was just absolutely mind-blowing. This is Manley Park Primary School in Whalley Range, and everything started with the school street. I'm going to be talking about starting small, ride to school. And we ride as a group of families every Friday. And at the moment, we started small 2 years ago, exactly in May 2 years ago. And at the moment, it's still 50 riders every single Friday on average. And we never stop, except if it's icing. Can we move on, please? Sorry. So, yes, we change how our street look like and how they feel like. We started, I think what I need to say at the beginning is that we normalize this. This is the normal way of a 4-year-old to go to school. On the picture you can see our meeting point, which is a large drive to a local community centre. Meeting points, I can talk about them further on. This is our poster, very recent one. We didn't start as sophisticated as this one. But the most important thing to say is to very clearly, signpost where people are supposed to be, what time, and not to change it once you announce it. Before we start to talk about the bike train, everything started with the school street, and Kaz and Emma from Walk Ride Whalley Range are the most fundamental people to this, and we would have never changed anything without the school street. So I would challenge Hannah's point on this. These are the ripple effects. For us, it was the other way around. It was first the school street and their determination to change the space, and many years of work with the neighbours, further on residents, as well as the school. And then all of a sudden, once we started to volunteer on the school street, we saw something very different. And we heard, because the noise levels and the sound was so important. And I still very well remember those first volunteering shifts when I was absolutely overwhelming and flooding Kaz with all my written notes of how we feel as parents walking and cycling to school, and how this is making a huge change. And then 2 years on exactly, our chair of governors is saying to us how different this feels as well from the school's perspective. And I'm not the one to talk about this, but I still remember when she came and she said, you know how teachers feel their children completely differently every single day when we have enough of volunteers to marshal the school street. So everything started with that image, with that feeling of being able to breathe differently, to hear the birds, to see the space. There's so much space in front of the school. And if there isn't a school street, it's just always so busy. So, and the other, what happened before is we simply had a parent who reached to us and said, on one of the PTA groups, and said, you know, my little one is reluctant to ride in the evening. It was not really the evening, but in the afternoon, dark afternoon of winter. And one of us said, well, why don't we ride together to make him feel more comfortable? And this literally is how our bike train started. Then I started to investigate. It's obviously not the first one. There was a couple in Manchester in a little bit different conditions in Levenshulme or all throughout the Fallowfield Loop, which makes things a lot easier. We started reading. The Sustrans guidance was one of the most fundamental, as well as the Cycling UK ones, as well as the Cycle Frog, I think, and one of the Scotland's primary schools. There's lots of guidance online on how to set up your bike train. It's much more popular in continental Europe, but let's not go there. So I started reading, and the first thing, and that's my academic background, is I thought, well, let's educate each other. So I thought about this ride leader training that I had absolutely no idea what it was. It is basically to give confident cyclists even more confidence to be able to run a group ride on the road. But in this case, with children and parents, and believe me, parents are sometimes less predictable than children are. And so I just started to investigate how to arrange one. I didn't want if I'm going too much to the detail, please let me know. We didn't want volunteers to pay for it, so we started reaching out to different organizations, and this is hats off to TFGM, who very well responded to this idea and supported our first training. And I can't really emphasize more to speak to parents, friends, and friends of the friends, parents in the school, one-to-one. So I know it's a hustle, but rather than doing any group announcements, any big events at this stage, this is pre-bike train, start to talk about an idea and how it looks like and how it feels like. Nowadays, there are different examples in Manchester, of which I can talk about later, that are visible, and people are most welcome to come and visit them and ride with them. You're all most welcome to come and ride with us every Friday and to see for yourself how it works. And the last, but not the least important point, is still before the bike train has started, is the insurance, so public liability insurance for every group ride. That's a little formality, but it's really important because you have a group of parents and children on the road. You have ride leaders responsible for them in many ways. So even before all the rest, after the ride leader training and before anything else, it is a good idea to get public liability insurance for your group, and I can advise on that as well. And I can't emphasize this enough, not to advertise before you actually are incredibly confident. The image of "Thank you for slowing down" is from our initial months. So this is the slowest ride you could ever imagine. So it's never the route to school, if you think about it, it's never short. It's never too short. It's absolutely fine to have 2-3 streets. It's absolutely enough. For children of 5 years old, it's absolutely enough. The most important thing is for them to be left turns, not the right turns. And as Hannah was rightly saying, never enough of different fun aspects of it. So here is our signature penguin, our mascot of the bike train. Then the next important point is to establish a meeting point. So to then be able to clearly signpost people of where to meet. It really isn't a corner between two streets and a fragment of a pavement, because there's lots of weight, and those 10 minutes in the morning while everyone is gathering, you really want to have lower curb, you really want to have a much wider space than only a pavement. So this is to be discussed, but a drive, for example, a piece of lawn, just little park, but a drive to a community centre as an example of ours, it's really best to establish that meeting point first before and make sure that that's the one rather than advertise it afterwards. In terms of the route, as I said, it's never, absolutely never never too short. It's best to start slowly. I have never insisted on numbers here, absolutely never. I was always happy riding with just one family. So to have a group ride, you have to have at least 2 ride leaders, so 2 qualified people. You don't have to have them qualified, as Sustrans guidance rightly say, but I do advocate for people to be qualified. There's lots of different organizations, Cycling UK is one of them, who can help with that. And it's one of the most impactful interventions I have seen, because if you are a confident rider and ride with others, you change how people behave on the street and on the road, on the pavement, and it's really friendly. It's about sharing space. That's why we thank you for slowing down rather than anything else. That's why it's really, really positive experience, and I hope that comes across. It is important to pilot rides as many times as possible. So before advertising again, before saying this to all other parents, to pilot ride as many times from that meeting point, different routes, hidden alleyways, as much as off-road as possible, of course, but if it's not possible, ours are all in very urban spaces. Yes, so it's best to pilot ride with your families first, with the ride leaders' families first, so those most confident, and then once you are confident enough to go and invite others. There are always, ride leaders are incredibly friendly people, so if you invite one, they would eventually find a time and come and ride with you. And then they would share this very simple for an experienced ride leader advice in terms of the meeting point, in terms of a better route. As I said, always left turns, not the right turns. I should have said, I'm not sure if I should say this, but we never ride on the pavement because that's against the law. And we teach our children not to ride on the pavement. So we are not bikeability, but this is gaining experience, not only for children, but also for parents, how to ride on the road with them. One of the best ways to, and advertise as much as you can afterwards. This is self-advertising enterprise. Once people start seeing a group of riders, they just want to join. And this was thanks to there's 2 lovely schools on College Road where our school is, and this was thanks to invitation of our following speaker. We had this lovely assembly, and our bike train was going to ours, St. Margaret's on the other side of College Road. Just to mention, we've done many different side projects as a side project of the bike train. So thanks to TFGM again, we have, the school now has an e-cargo bike, and they can travel more sustainably between the school sites. There's 2, just like Beaver Road, this is 2 school-side school. Juniors and infants are separated. We also organised so many street parties, haven't we? And very colourful parties really to gather a community and to imagine how the streets could look like. And the clean air stalls in our Earth Hour. We have also applied for new bike parking for our children, which is now in place and well used. And this is also thanks to TFGM. And we also rode with year 6s who are going to the high school very soon as volunteers, as parents, who wanted to offer these very, very short rides to gain more confidence. There's increasing increasing evidence that high school children ride less than primary school children. These are all the things I've already said in terms of the documented impact of what we've been doing, and a bit of a visual of what's next. This is Manley Park Primary, who had just started a month ago, and they've got 70 plus riders every single Friday, and they got inspired by us. And there's 7 other primary schools who are also riding on a regular basis to school and changing their communities. And I'm always, always happy to talk to you if that's what you're after. Happy riding.